Ok.
Fai salvare. Ci sarà fine sopra.
Oppa!
Sul muro.
Quando vuoi.
Io sul muro bullo.
Bullo? Ok.
Okay, ciao. I'm Marco Fay from Valtellina. We are in Italy and from the Sandro Fay winery. And before the beginning, I want to say a very warm hello to the T. Edward team, all the staff, and especially to my friend Greg Reeves. And I hope to see you soon, guys, because I think so we just passed a very strong period. We had 2 months with a great problem about the coronavirus, and a few days ago we begin to live a quite regular life. And so I hope you're safe and never give up. So stay strong, please. Okay. And before to talk about the wine, I'd like to talk about my region. So we are in the northern part of Italy, close to the borderline of Switzerland, and in the Alps. So I can show you the mountain. You can see the Orobie Alp. The Orobie are the south side of the valley. The north part is the Retiche Alps, and is the part where you can find the viticulture. I've got a map with me, and so I can show you where we are. There's our country, Italy. Here is Lombardy, in the northern part of the country, and we are in the extreme northern part of Lombardy. Here we have Switzerland, and here the Lake of Como. So we are in a very beautiful area, and I love a lot my region, of course. And we have a very extreme viticulture, because our viticulture is completely on the mountain, and we have the stony walls to break the steepness, and to break the very extreme steepness of the mountain. So we have we normally call Valtellina the region of the other Nebbiolo, because we grow just this variety, and it's a very historical area for Nebbiolo growing, and the local name of our Nebbiolo is Chiavennasca. And so very often when you read the label on the bottle, you can read not Nebbiolo but Chiavennasca is the local name of our Nebbiolo. And it's a very historic denomination. We grow Nebbiolo for more or less 1,000 years, and probably is most of the historic wine area about the growing of this variety. I show you the valley, and okay, in front of you on the right you can see the growing area. So on the Alps we have an historic denomination named Valtellina Superiore, and the Valtellina Superiore is our DOCG, means the historic area. It's something like a rectangle on the Retiche Alps, and is from the bottom of the valley, I mean around 300 meters, and the top of this rectangle is around 900 meters. And so it's a very extreme part for growing. And in this rectangle, the length is about 40 kilometers. Inside we have 5 different subregions, and from west, this direction, to east, so the other side, we have 5 different subregions. The western one is named Maroggia. Then we have Sassella, Grumello, Inferno, and Valgella. Here, actually, we are in the eastern side of the historic area, and so we are in Valgella subregion. It's not possible to link the subregion with a quality concept, because the 5 names that I said you before are just the first geographic information to understand where the wine is produced. And so the macro area is Valtellina Superiore. Inside you have 5 indications to understand where we are along the historic area. The quality is very linked to another point, and for me the main one is the altitude. And so we normally work on 3 different altitude levels. Now I show you this. And so we work on 3 different altitude levels, and the bottom, I said you before, is around 300. The first climb level is around 450, the second one 600 meters, and the third one, the last one, is around 900 meters above sea level. Normally close the bottom we produce our classical wine, and this because I show you the bottom. In this condition we have a very strong thermal inversion. It means that normally the cold goes down, and so the middle altitude level is normally warmer than the bottom. And another point is the humidity, because the bottom is the most humid part we have in the valley. And so close the valley we produce our classic Nebbiolo, because for the condition we have of the climb, it's not possible to have great structure or great complexity in the wine. Normally the wines produced in this level are very soft, drinkable, not so complex, not so strong. And so I think a very good expression of a very drinkable Nebbiolo. Then in the second altitude level, so in the middle altitude level, I think we have the best part for growing. Here we are around 500 meters, we are in the center part of the middle altitude level, and I think it's the best part for growing because we are upper than the thermal inversion line, and we are upper than the humidity. So it's a very dry part, very windy part, very good for the safe of the vines and the grapes, of course. And I think it's the best area for getting a great result in quality, structure, complexity. And so in this part we work on 3 different wines in single vineyards. The first one is Valtellina Superiore, so it means from the historic area, but Sassella. Sassella is the last subregion you can see in front of you. I don't know if my finger is okay, more or less, yeah. My sister is helping me. And Glicine is a single vineyard from that region, is more or less 20 kilometers from where we are now, and is a single vineyard from the middle altitude level. It's the first single vineyard pure Nebbiolo we produce. Here we are in the Carteria vineyard. Carteria is our Riserva, is our family vineyard, because my grandfather, and the first vintage for him probably was around 1960, produced just a single wine, a single label, and was Carteria. So Carteria for us is something like a family wine. And so we are in this vineyard, we are in Valgella, and so when you read on the label all the geographic information, you read Valtellina Superiore, but Valgella means from the east, but Carteria is the name of the vineyard. We have another vineyard, always in this sub-region, always in Valgella, and the name is Camorei. Ca means house, Morei is, in dialect, is our, my grandmother last name was Morelli, so Camorei means Morelli house. And it's a vineyard more or less 3 kilometers in the east direction where we are, and always from the middle altitude level. So 2 single vineyards from the middle altitude level and from the Valgella, Carteria and Camorei. Then the third altitude level, I think, is a very particular level, because in this part is, I think, we have a very, very incredible unbalance in grapes, because we are a little bit higher than the perfect condition we can have, for example, from the middle. And so we have normally high acidity, middle, low sugar concentration, but it's a very dry part, because we are very, very far than the bottom. And so it's the driest part we have on the slope. And so we have a normally very strong skins, very good thickness of the skin. We have high acidity, we have middle low sugar concentration, and it's very easy to organize the work in the vineyard, because it's a very safe part of the valley because of the dry condition we have. And so in that part we work with on the second DOCG denomination we have in the area. The first one is Valtellina Superiore, that I explained you before. We have another one, DOCG, named Sforzato di Valtellina. It means always Nebbiolo, but produced with the drying process. And so normally we pick the grapes, we dry them for 60-70 days. We lose in this period 60-70% of water, sorry, around 20% of water, sorry. And of course we concentrate everything, because the water throw away, so we concentrate the concentration of tannins, sugar, acidity, and everything. And so the result is a wine with more than 15.5 degrees alcohol. But the high acidity, I think, is a very interesting, because creates something like a match between the structure and the warmness of the alcohol with the freshness of the acidity together. And the wine is completely dry. It's not possible to have a sugar residual. And so the method is very similar than Amarone della Valpolicella, but Sforzato must be completely dry. It's not possible to have sugar left. And from 2014 we decided to push on the altitude, and we decided to buy the two highest terraces we have in the area, and I decided to plant Chardonnay. My target is produce Chardonnay very shape, with a great minerality, with a great freshness. And so I want to push on this target, because for me the altitude is the most important factor we have in the valley. And of course at that altitude, because the vineyard is around 850 meters, it's not possible to grow Nebbiolo. It's too high, because Nebbiolo needs sunlight, needs a very great climate condition, and if the climate is too much cold, I think it's not so good for the final result. And so the terrace was abandoned for 50 years, and so we decided to replant another variety, and I decided to work on the white, and I decided to work on the Chardonnay. Then another point, because before I explained you that the difference depends on the altitude, but another point is the terrace. As you can see, it's not possible to find the same condition on two different terraces, because each terrace has its conformation, its steepness, its depth, and so it's not possible to have the same condition on two different terraces. And so for us, the mix of the terrace is a single vineyard. So for us it's not possible, it's very difficult to say this wine has this character, this structure, because we have just this kind of soil. In Valtellina we have a very regular condition in everywhere, and so we don't have any clay. We have acidity, the pH is low, so we have acid soil. And another very important thing is we have high percentage of sand. So we have sandy soil, we don't have clay and acid condition. Now I show you the soil we have, because we just finished a new replant, and so we have the opportunity to see the kind of soil we have. And so we go with Bullo.
Ci siamo col tempo, più o meno, mi sa.
Okay. Here, if you want to see, is a Nebbiolo 2020, and we have to wait for a few months to see the result, because normally here the harvest is around October, in the second half of October, and so we have to wait for a few months. And here you can see the stony walls without any concrete. Is normally in Italy we call them muri a secco, means the translation is dry walls, because in the past they didn't use any concrete, and so it was an incredible work. And last year we entered in the UNESCO heritage, and for us it's very, very important because we have a very important certification about the history of these walls. In the total we have 2,500 kilometers of stony walls. It's the biggest terraced area we have in Italy. Probably in Europe we are second after the Douro in Portugal. Okay, from here you can see the steepness, and so the bottom is around 200 meters lower than where we are. And from here I think it's quite easy to understand our soil. I said you before, we don't have any clay, so we have a very poor, very dry soils, and with the schist and acid reaction. I think we have a very, very similar soil than the soil you can find in Mosel Valley in Germany, and a very great wine area for Riesling. But I think Valtellina probably has a very good soil for white wines. But the problem is not a problem, but the characteristic is not a problem, is the temperature, because it's quite hot. And so I think, of course, better to work on reds, but because of this kind of soil, the expression of our reds is a very elegant expression. Here you can see the schist is a very poor soil, and normally the rule is poor soil, elegance and complexity. If you have clay, you have a great condition for growing, a very high fertility for growing. Normally the expression is very different. We have structure, we have tannins, acidity, color. And so when you compare the wines from the valley with the Barolo, for example, the great wines from Langa, I think it's very easy to understand the region and the result of the terroir. Because I think in Valtellina we have a very drinkable wine, a very complex wine, very fresh wine with a great complexity. And if you go in Langa, Nebbiolos has a very completely different expression. Structural, tannins, powerful. I love a lot the wines from Langa, but I'm very happy that the result, the identity of our region is completely different. I think Nebbiolos is something like a very big family, and linked to the northwest of Italy, and so for us it's very important to be the Nebbiolos from the Alps and the elegant expression of the variety. From here you can see that mountain, okay, is the mountain you can see on the label of two wines we produce. One is Tei, the first one is Tei. Tei is our Rosso di Valtellina. It's the wine we produce outside the Valtellina Superiore that I explained to you before the area. And just stainless steel for aging, a very drinkable wine, very simple concept of Nebbiolos. And the same label with the same mountain is on Costa Bassa. Costa Bassa is the first level, something like Premier Cru in Bourgogne, and produced with 5 different vineyards together. All the vineyards are close the bottom, and we decided to use that mountain because if you see the other side of the valley from each vineyard of Costa Bassa, you can see the same mountain, and so it's the fixed point you can see in front of you from every vineyard of the blend. Okay, now we go in that house. That house is the house you can see on the label of Carteria, is the vineyard where we are, and it's something like a family house, and so it's something like the center of our estate. You can see Bullo.
Bullo? Buon biscotto?
Okay, now I show you the wines I'd like to talk about.
Sa che stiamo sforando un po' i tempi.
Siamo?
Sforando i tempi.
Quanto siamo?
Secondo me è già 20 minuti, secondo me.
Sì? Ok.
Fai vedere i vini e basta.
Andiamo un po' di più. Okay, now I show you the 2 labels, the 2 bottles, and I want to show you. Of course, the first one is Carteria, is the vineyard where we are, our Riserva, the family wine that I explained you before. And the second one is the Sforzato, Sforzato, the wine produced with the drying process. Here you can see the label, and here is 2016 of for every wine. And right, I think we get the time, and so I hope to see you soon, guys. Thank you for this opportunity to explain about the valley and about my winery, and I hope to see you soon, maybe in New York. I hope so. Ciao to everyone.